Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something I am absolutely obsessed with, taking classic, obscure folklore and turning it into a literal blueprint for world building. We are going to deconstruct the myth of Valefor and use it to design a gritty, psychologically complex, dark fantasy city. We're talking an entire urban ecosystem built around survival, desperation, and completely corrupted companionship. If you want to craft a world where the shadows feel alive and literally every ally has a price, well, you are in the exact right place. To really set the mood here, I want you to picture this scene. It's dawn, you've got a hungry kid named Nara hiding behind a bakery in the freezing cold. She meets this strange, bellowing creature crouched down next to some broken flour sacks. But here's the thing, this creature doesn't just hand her food. It acts like a deeply loyal friend. It tells her, hey, just take one loaf, and actually offers to watch the street to make sure she's safe. It's such a powerful image, right? Because it shows us that the very first thing stripped away isn't a physical object. The first thing stolen is the moral boundary of shame. Okay, part one, meet the Duke of Thieves, the familiar who corrupts. Let's look at the architect of all this misery. So, looking at traditional folklore, specifically the Ars Goetia, Valefor is the sixth spirit. He's a mighty duke rolling with 10 whole legions of spirits. But the detail that makes him such a fascinating foundation for building a city is his primary office. He is uniquely described as a, quote, good familiar. However, he's a familiar who actively tempts the people he accompanies to steal. He doesn't conquer with massive armies, he conquers you through toxic, enabling friendship. To truly get this corruption, we have to look at the visuals. Part 2, the anatomy of corruption, the lion and the ass. You've got this insane visual clash happening here. Imagine the majestic, predatory, noble powerhouse of a lion's body clashing directly against the stubborn, foolish, loud humiliation of an ass's head. It's literally a warning baked right into his character design. It's telling us that even the greatest strength and the most noble appetite become completely ridiculous when they're guided by base, foolish desires. See, Valefor isn't some glamorous thief in silk gloves pulling off slick jewel heists. Not at all. He represents the dark companion archetype. His real danger, it's his intimacy. He's the whisperer right beside your ear, standing close enough to be implicitly trusted. And once he has that trust, he slowly, subtly alters your entire definition of what trust actually means. He takes that raw, animal urge to just grab what's in front of you and tricks you into calling it cleverness. All right, let's scale this up. Section 3, building a dark fantasy city through cults of survival. So how does this work on a citywide scale? In a Solomon-inspired dark fantasy setting, you aren't going to find his influence in grand, terrifying temples. No, it thrives exactly at the edge of human need. His cults are totally unconventional. We're talking desperate street gangs, underground thieves' brotherhoods, guilds that have totally lost their way, and quiet networks of underpaid servants. Even bored aristocrats stealing relics from each other for sport. Valefor lives wherever greed or desperation tries to masquerade as a community. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. Their motto is never, ever about being evil for the fun of it. Nobody in this city wakes up thinking, I'm going to be a villain today. They say, we take care of our own. They justify all their crimes and theft as absolute, unavoidable survival. That's what makes the corruption so incredibly believable, both to the characters in your world and to us as the audience. Let's look at how this psychologically escalates step by step. Step 1, you take just one stolen coin to fix an immediate, desperate problem. That's it, just once. But then comes step 2. Picking one locked door turns into picking 10. It gets easier. And finally, step 3. The physical theft evolves. Stealing money becomes an absolute addiction to stealing trust itself. By the end of this pipeline, your character's entire concept of loyalty and love is just completely remade. Moving on to section 4, designing the urban shadows. Let's talk aesthetics and atmosphere. The visual direction here needs a really delicate balance between majesty and intense discomfort. Imagine a palette soaked in burnt umber, dirty cream, old gold, and heavy shadow black. Picture these moonlit alleys where a faint, flickering lantern glow reflects off wet cobblestones. You want narrow shafts of light piercing through really oppressive shadows. The whole atmosphere should feel incredibly intimate, but tragic and deeply morally uneasy. To actually ground your audience in this vibe, you need to populate your descriptions with specific, gritty textures. Don't just say the alley was dark. Tell us about the rusted keys hanging from a belt. Mention the muddy footprints trailing away from a busted lock, the matted fur of a stray dog, or a piece of torn cloth snagged on an iron fence. These little motifs maintain this constant, low-level hum of dangerous street-level survival. Finally, section 5, tales of false loyalty. Let's look at some actual plot hooks. These are so fun to play with. Take the Guild of Good Friends. Imagine a beloved city charity that is secretly a front, slowly dragging rescued families into organized crime. Or, oh man, the 10 Legions of Debtors hook. Picture a debtor's prison that mysteriously empties out overnight. The inmates are free, but they quickly realize the horrific catch. They have to repay their anonymous savior by stealing names, keys, and literally the precious memories of innocent people. This concept is also brilliant for a character's backstory. Imagine a gritty detective story. The investigator is connecting a string of master thieves, only to uncover this chilling common thread. As kids, every single one of them had the exact same imaginary friend, a lion-bodied figure with a strange head who offered them a familiar contract, promising he'd never abandon them as long as they kept taking what wasn't theirs. So as we wrap up this explainer on designing a dark fantasy setting around Valefor, I want you to turn this world-building lens back onto your own writing. Think about the companions, the mentors, and the survival tactics in your stories, and ask yourself this one final provocative question. Who is the loyal friend holding the door open for you, and what exactly are they teaching you to take? Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today. I hope this sparks some truly brilliant ideas for your next world.